Welcome back to the channel today, guys. And you know, I can get behind these more positive-esque episodes, I gotta say. Everything's been so gloom and doom in our season, but our past couple episodes have been on a more positive note, and I can get behind that. We need more positivity around here. But we're here to talk about Danmachi, Season 4, Episode 4 today. And it was a good episode, I gotta say. It was really a setup episode for what's going to happen next. Especially what happens with my boy Welf, who is stepping up at the end of this episode. Which we'll talk about when we get to it. But honestly, let's just get straight into it. And talk about Danmachi, Season 4, Part 2, Episode 4. Mouthful yet again. But let's get straight into it today. Now, I'm noticing a trend here, guys. Because our episode begins with another flashback to the Estrella Familia, as we hear, "It's unlike you, being so absent-minded, I mean. Is something the matter, Leon?" As we see she's talking with Elisa. As we hear, "Goodness gracious, when did the noble and sophisticated elf turn into a lazybones, I wonder? Asleep on her feet, no less. For shame. Why, I could never hope to achieve such a magnificent feat." She's really digging into her, huh? As Ryu says, "Kaguya, I assure you, I'm wide awake." And in this scene, we get to see all the other members of the Familia, as the show is really just trying to show us this is what happened. This is how Ryu came to be, who she is now. This is the Familia that treated her so good. They're showing us them now, just so they can rip our hearts out later. How nice, show. Thanks for that. But it's here Elise says, "Alright, I think it's time that we get down to business now." As she says, "I've received intel from the guild that Evilus is up to something on the lower floors. It's been a year since the nightmare on the 27th floor. Evilus suffered a huge blow across the board. At this point, I'd imagine they can only operate on the lower floors." And it's this part right here that I think is going to make this series of events really sad, because we know what happens. But with Ryu narrating over it, it's going to be even sadder as she says, a memory of that fateful day, just before disaster struck. As we hear Elise say, "We, the Estrella Familia, are going to conduct an investigation on the lower floors. If we find something of interest, great. If we manage to foil the enemy's plan, even better." As we hear Ryu narrate again that the Rudra Familia, Jura, used that information to lure us in. As we see Ryu in her mind begging them not to go down there so that tragedy doesn't occur. But it's all for naught. This has already happened, and they're already gone. And there's no way to get them back. But it's here we transition back to reality as we go to Bell and Ryu again, as Ryu's finally able to go to sleep and rest, as Bell says, "Alright, she's fast asleep. You know, this might be the first time I've ever seen Ryu let her guard down." As we see she's still dreaming of the past. But it's here we get the appearance of a skull sheep, as Bell instantly is on guard, as he says, "Is this flock nearby? I only sense the one." As he asks himself, "What do I do? If it's alone, I should be able to take it down." As Bell tells it, "Come near me and I'll shoot. I will kill you." And it's here Bell tells us that the monsters on the deep floors are different than the monsters on the upper and middle floors. Monsters on the deep floor are highly intelligent, which means that a threat and a provocation like this might actually work. As we see, the skull sheep does actually go away, as Bell says, "Thank goodness, I can let Ryu rest for a little longer." And with the situation they're in, they need to rest as much as possible if they want to survive. And it's here as we transition back to Team Hestia. They just can't seem to catch a break at all, as we hear Welf say, "No matter how many we kill, they just keep coming," as they get attacked by more monsters. As Lily tells everyone, "Don't bother fighting them, we need to save our strength," as she shoots their leader in the eye and says, "Their leader's wounded, let's get out of here while we can," which is a smart decision, I believe. And as they get away, Daphne says, "This is the worst. It's been non-stop monsters ever since we reached the 26th floor. At this rate, we're not going to have the time or energy to go looking for Rabbit's Foot." As Lily tells her, the plan to rescue Belle was set in stone the moment we decided not to turn back. As Daphne tells her, look, I know you don't want to leave your friend behind, I get that. But how are we supposed to track him down if we don't even know where to start? Which is honestly a fair criticism. But Aisha tells her that moving forward is our only choice. We can't make our way back to the 24th floor until the dungeon completes its repair cycle. So we've got to find Belle Cornell and head towards the safety point on the lower floors. As Aisha says, that's our situation. Any adventurer with a shred of common sense would know to turn around and follow the normal route back up. Let's hope we run into him along the way. And it's here as they're on edge, trying to rest even a little bit. They get attacked by a literal seahorse, as Aisha says, a Kelpie. What a name. As Lily says, Kelpies spawn on the 27th floor. How to get up here? And it's here as they actually run. They run into even more monsters. What a shock in the dungeon to run into monsters, I know. As Daphne says, are you kidding me? All those are 27th floor monsters. Every one of them. And it's here the only thing left to do is to fight their way out of this situation. And I gotta say, guys, all of them, every single member in this team should have a level up by the time this is done. With how much they're fighting, every single person should go up a level. I hope that's the case. But during the fight, Oka says, I swear, it's like the dungeons got it out for us or something. It feels that way. As we see Welf actually get thrown into the wall. But as he does, he notices ore from one of the lower floors on the ground. And right before he's about to get crushed by a walrus of all things, Aisha comes and saves him. But it's here all of a sudden, they hear a scream from further in the dungeon, as they say, a voice from further down the tunnel. As Lily says, it might be an adventurer on their way to the 27th floor. So our musclehead himself, Oka, charges in there and takes out the monsters that are attacking someone. And afterwards, we see that it's boars! This SOB survives somehow, as he's like the Hestia familia. Gasp! As he says, thank the gods, I'm safe? Question mark? And it's time to play 20 questions with our boy Boars, because Team Hestia needs to know what's going on, as Aisha asks him, what happened to all the others who joined the manhunt? As Boars tells them, they were murdered. Every last one of them. My men included. As Aisha says, so you're telling me that Gale Wind managed to turn the tables and wipe out your entire party? As he tells her, no, not her. An irregular. A new species of monster showed up. One I ain't never seen before. I'm sure you heard it too. That deafening roar when it spawned. As he says, that thing, it was unreal. It can tear adventurers to pieces with a single swipe of its claws. And it's here Lily asks him, what happened to Belle? He was with you, right? As Boris tells her, poor little rabbit foot didn't make it. And naturally, everyone's shocked as he says, he got one of his arms blown off, and the way his neck snapped. I doubt he survived, but Lily tells him, you're lying. But Boris tells her, I ain't lying. That monster massacred everyone. But Lily insists he's lying as she grabs his collar and says, Master Bell can't die. He's the one person in the world who cannot abandon me. And it's scenes like this that remind me exactly what Lily's been through in our series. She's been through a lot, and how Belle's the only one she can really open her heart up to. So she's not taking this well, as she insists that there's no way he would do something like that. But then she starts breaking down into tears. Even Cassandra's like, please, anyone but him. But there's not time to mourn, as they're on set by even more monsters as they have to run. As Lily thinks to herself, if Belle is gone, if he really isn't alive anymore, then there's no point in any of this. And it's an interesting moral conundrum. Do you keep looking for your friend that you think is alive, but in the process you're putting everyone else in the party in danger, potentially killing them to save someone who might not be alive? It's a very interesting moral conundrum. And it's here as we see more monsters attacking from the front. Welf uses one of his magic swords to set them ablaze. but then thinks to himself that it's gonna shatter the next time I use it. And when that happens, we're screwed. And it's here as we see them keep moving through the dungeon, they eventually make their way to a dead end. As Lily thinks to herself, if monsters attack us here, there's quite literally no way out. We need to get out of here as quickly as possible. But everyone is exhausted. Rightfully so. And it's here, seeing Lily worrying so much, Aisha talks to Boris and says, Boris, tell me what you saw. From beginning to end, specifically the part about the creature attacking Belle Cornell. None of that gloom and doom crap either. Describe exactly what went down. As he says, Rabbitfoot, that thing ripped his arm off with its claws. And then he took a pretty brutal blow to the neck. We heard his bones cracking. As Isis says, you're telling me you actually saw Belle Cornell's corpse. As Boris says, well, no, but I saw Gaelwyn casting some sort of healing magic. But magic can't fix wounds like that. But the scarf can prevent them. As Lily jumps at that and says, there's no way we can be absolutely certain he's dead then. For all we know, he could still be alive, right? Desperately trying to hope he's alive. As Boris says, given everything the kid's been through, he'd have to be hanging on by a thread, but I suppose it's possible. As Welf says, I've got no doubt he managed to survive. Our captain doesn't give up so easily. As Aisha says, you heard the man, the plan hasn't changed. We keep heading towards the safety point on the lower floors. We might have one foot in the grave by the time we get there, but we'll find Belle Cornell. As Boris is just like, I literally just told you there's a freakish abomination down there. I ain't going down there. It'll be a cold day in hell before I do that shit again. But it's here in this moment is the reason why I like Aisha as much as I do. As Aisha grabs his ass by the collar and says, I seem to remember something about Gaelwyn protecting your bitch ass. I believe Belle Cornell saved your ass a couple times too. For Belle Cornell or for Gaelwyn? If you've got any sense of gratitude, then man the hell up. She really put this man in his place right here. As Daphne says, oh, so what you're saying is we're about to embark on a very long, very unforgiving journey, huh? As Lily thinks to herself, wow, she was able to rally the whole party. That's the power of Antianera, level 4. Ordinarily, it would have been my job as the commander. I need to get stronger myself. And it's here we start going over the situation as Daphne says, alright, there's basically only one way into this room. We gotta leave soon or else we're gonna get pulverized by those monsters from the main area. But it's here Lily says that they should probably take a short break first before doing anything huge, which is a smart idea. As Isa says, got it, I'll stand guard over by the exit. As Lily says, she may have gotten everyone on the same page, but that doesn't necessarily mean our situation's improved. Fend off and slip away from an onslaught of monsters. That's the goal, but I can't come up with a solid strategy. And it's here we transition to our boy Welf as he's thinking, alright, so what do we do now? Can we fight our way out of here, actually? As he says, my magic sword's got one swing left before it breaks, and it's not enough to keep the party safe. As he thinks back on Hephaestus' words towards him, that stop weighing your pride against your friends, Welf. As he thinks, I did stop that. It hasn't happened since. And yet here we are, in danger and no magic sword. So what's the frickin' point? As he thinks to himself, how can I help these guys out? As a blacksmith, what can I do to give back? And it's here he thinks back on a conversation he had with Hephaestus as she says, a hammer, some metal, and so long as you've got a healthy flame, you can forge weapons anywhere. As our boy Welf gets an idea, and he asks everyone, are you willing to put your lives in my hands? As he tells them, I'm gonna rustle us up some magic swords, baby. As Daphne's just like, so you're gonna rustle up some swords, huh? But he clarifies and says, I'm gonna build a makeshift workshop, to be more specific. I'm gonna use it to craft new blades, as Lily says, as in, set up a forge to make swords here. Here, where we could be attacked at any given moment. As Welf's just like, bingo. As Lily says, don't you need tools? A hearth? What about the materials to actually make the weapons? As Welf says, I brought a hammer and a hearth in case our gear needed repairs. And says, I can light a fire with the blade we have, and I picked up some materials a little while ago. And as he shows her it, he says, it's adamantite, aka the most precious ore in the whole dungeon. How convenient they found that, by the way. Just how convenient. As he tells her, if we want to wreck those ugly monsters and make our way to the 27th floor, this is the only way. The magic swords, they'll get us there. But then he adds, once I start the forging process, I won't be able to move. Which means that until I'm finished crafting the swords, you have to protect me. So I need you to trust me with your lives. As Boris tells him, who the hell would agree to a crazy plan like that? As Welf says, I don't care if you think it's crazy. You got a better idea? No? Then do you have any faith in me or not? As he asks that question to everyone there. As Aisha says, let me ask you one question. Can you do it? Be honest. And it's here as we get another flashback. Hephaestus asks him, you've got the hammer. You've got the metal. So there's only one thing you need to ask yourself, Welf. Your fire. Is it burning bright? As Welf tells Aisha, of course I can. So long as I've got a hammer, some metal, and a healthy flame, I can forge weapons anywhere. That's what us blacksmiths do. As Aisha says, alright then, go for it. As Oka tells him that our lives are in your hands. As Aisha says, I want everyone in their battle formations. We're betting everything on Ignis. No matter what happens, we can't let any monsters get to Welf. Is that clear? And as Welf lights that fire, their last fires of hope, our episode ends. Now, this is a very dangerous gamble they're doing, for sure. They are in very danger-infested dungeon right now. And what Welf's doing is probably pretty crazy by standards. But I could see this working. It's really their only option at this point. If this doesn't work, they're gonna die, frankly. So I'm curious to see how this goes. I kind of like that we're focusing on Team Hestia a bit more instead of Bellamuru, because I know they're going to have plenty of time later on to get the spotlight. So I'm happy we're kind of focusing on them to kind of flush them out, to see their struggles. And like I said, if they don't level up by the time this is done, I'm calling shenanigans on that. That is ridiculous. There's no way. They're all the fighting they're doing, they all better be like another level at least. But you guys let me know what you thought of it down below. Because until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day. And stay healthy, guys. With how things are nowadays, remember to stay healthy. I will see you guys next time.